Hey, what's up guys? I'm James Withy, and today we're going to talk about 3 different factors that you should consider before bringing your own design into a tattoo shop. Okay, so this is a question that I've been asked multiple times in the comments on other videos that I've made. People will ask me quite often whether or not it's okay to bring your own design into a tattoo shop for a consultation with an artist. And today that's what we're going to be discussing. I'm going to talk about whether or not it is indeed okay, and more specifically I'm going to be talking about 3 different factors that you guys should consider before you bring a design in for a consultation. Okay, so first things first, is it okay to bring in your own design for a tattoo consultation? The answer to that question is very dependent on the context with which that question is asked. So there are some situations where it's totally fine to bring in your own tattoo design. There are some situations where you will be denied service if you insist on getting that particular design tattooed. So today I'm going to talk about 3 different factors that will influence whether or not your consult swings one way or the other. And hopefully that gives you guys some tips on how you can be more successful going into your next tattoo consultation. Okay, so the first factor I want to talk about is what your expectations are with regards to what will be done with the design that you do bring in. Some people will come in with like just a general idea and like a loose sketch where they're just kind of like trying to show the artist where they would like things placed in the tattoo, like in a very general way, or maybe they just bring in like a drawing that represents stylistically what they want to get, so that the artist can just totally redraw it and just run with it from there. Some people are a little bit more rigid on it and they want the tattoo design to be tattooed verbatim exactly the way it was in the image that they brought in. And some people are a little bit more in between where they want it to look largely like the design that they brought in, but they are open to a couple of little adjustments and tweaks for the sake of making it a better tattoo. Now, if you're more on the flexible side and you just came in with like a real general design and you want the tattoo artist to just totally redraw it, and you don't really care about whether or not it looks like the stuff that you brought in, then you're in good shape, and that's actually what's normal and what's preferred in the tattoo industry. If you're more like in between and you're pretty flexible to it, then you're still pretty good. It just kind of depends on the artist and whether or not they want to do that particular piece, whether or not, they jive with the subject matter or the style that it is or that sort of thing. If you are more rigid and you want it to be tattooed like verbatim, exactly the way it is in the design you brought in, your chances of being turned down for the project increase dramatically, but it is still possible to get a tattoo artist to do that sort of design, and it kind of just depends on what specifically it is. So that brings me to my next point, the next factor that I want to discuss in whether or not it's okay to bring in your own design, and that is the design itself. If your design is something that's very simple and it's just like a little logo or something, like let's say for instance you want to get like a little heart outline tattooed on your wrist, and you just bring in like a simple ass black heart outline and it's the exact size that you want it and you know exactly where you want it placed and you just want to bring it in and have the tattoo artist run that thing through the stencil maker and then put it on your body, you're probably in pretty good shape. I mean, tattoo artists that do small tattoos like that, that's a dream scenario for them. They don't have to fuss around with you on the computer, resizing things in Photoshop and picking the right heart that has the right shape and all that different stuff. All they got to do is just run it through the stencil maker and put it on you, and then they get paid and you go out the door, and that's the best case scenario for them because it's a very clean, easy in and out process. If your design, however, is something that's more complex and you want it tattooed verbatim exactly the way it is, whether or not the tattoo artist is going to take on that project depends on a lot of factors. For instance, one thing you want to ask yourself is whether or not that's somebody else's tattoo, like a picture of somebody else's tattoo that you're showing that tattoo artist. That in the tattoo industry is really taboo. It's a big no-no for us to copy a tattoo exactly. So oftentimes if somebody comes in with a picture of a tattoo that they want and it's already on somebody's body, then they're going to go ahead, the tattoo artist is going to want to redraw that or at least adjust it in some ways to make it their own so that they won't get shit on by their peers for copying somebody else's tattoo. I could probably make an entire video just dissecting that particular subject, originality in tattooing, and whether or not it's okay to copy people's drawings and like where you draw the line and all that sort of shit as a tattoo artist. So I'm not really going to get too heavy into that because it would take fucking forever in this video. But while I'm on the subject, I really do want to talk about when a client brings in their own drawing, when it's your own original artwork and you bring that in for me to tattoo on you verbatim. This specific circumstance can kind of create a little bit of an awkward interaction between the artist and the client if the client is one of those people, like I said earlier, that wants the design tattooed verbatim and is very rigid and doesn't want any changes made whatsoever. And the reason for that is because, you know, sometimes it's just the fit of the tattoo, the fit of the drawing where it just doesn't look like it's going to fit well on the area that they're requesting. But oftentimes it's actually the drawing itself just isn't high quality enough of a drawing. It's not good enough of a drawing to make a professional quality tattoo out of. And it really sucks to have to tell somebody that if they are that like rigid person that doesn't want to be changed at all. So usually I'll kind of like try to figure out whether or not they are that person by asking like, well, is it okay if I make a couple changes to this, blah, blah, blah. And I really won't tell them what I think about the drawing outright right away. But if they tell me like, nah, it's got to be exactly like this and blah, 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 then I'll tell them, well, basically I can't do that tattoo because I only do professional quality tattoos and this drawing honestly doesn't look like it was done by a professional. So I'm sorry, but I can't take the project on. And it really sucks to have to tell somebody that because, you know, I know as an artist that oftentimes when somebody's critiquing your artwork, especially when it's like an unsolicited critique, it can almost feel like they're personally attacking you. And it really sucks to have to be on the end of that. It sucks to be on the receiving end of that, but it also sucks to be on the giving end of that if you're kind of pushed into that situation when you don't want to, like this situation I'm talking about in the tattoo consult. So keep that in mind before you go in for your tattoo consultation. If you're bringing your own drawing, be prepared for that. If you are very rigid on it and you do want the thing to be tattooed exactly the way you drew it, be prepared to get an honest opinion from an artist and try not to take it too personally if they tell you that. If anything, it should just tell you that you need to grow more as an artist, or maybe you just need to find a different artist that's okay with tattooing that on you. Everybody has different opinions on what's good art and what's bad art, and you know, you might be able to get a different result by talking to another artist. But try not to hate that artist for that, because I've definitely been on the giving end of that and I felt super shitty for it, even though I had to tell them what I had to tell them. Okay, so now that I've discussed the importance of considering what will be done with your design when you do bring it in, and I've also discussed the importance of considering the design itself with regards to whether or not it is okay to bring in your own tattoo design, I want to talk about the third factor that you should be thinking about when you're trying to decide whether or not it's okay to bring your own tattoo design, and that third factor is the artist themselves. So whether or not an artist is going to be comfortable tattooing a design that you bring in yourself is a difficult thing to ascertain because it's not always all black and white, okay? So some artists are gonna be like totally fine with you just bringing in whatever and they're just gonna slap that on you and it doesn't really matter what it looks like. Some artists are gonna be really rigid about it and they only wanna do stuff that's like 100% their own original creations. Trying to figure out where your artist falls on that spectrum can be pretty difficult. You can get a couple of hints by looking in their portfolio or their Instagram. Oftentimes artists that are unwilling to do anything that is not 100% custom are going to have a very specific look to their tattoos, and it's going to be like the same thing over and over in their portfolio, where they do, like, for instance, neo-traditional tattoos that have, I don't know, macabre subject matter or something like that. If you see nothing but that in their portfolio or on their Instagram, then most likely that's all they're willing to do, and those are their own original creations because they all have the same look. If, however, you have a tattoo artist that has an Instagram that is kind of like all over the place and has like some stuff that's lettering, some stuff that's like black and gray realism, some things are just like little logos and stuff, if that's the type of artist that you're looking to get tattooed by, then most likely they will be more open to considering doing a design that you're bringing in yourself. With that said, the best way to find out whether or not your tattoo artist is going to be willing to work with a pre-made design that you bring in is just going to be to either go to the shop and ask them personally, or call the shop and ask the counter person how that tattoo artist normally works to try to get an idea of whether or not, you know, you're going to be able to just bring in your own design and get it tattooed before you waste the time of making the trip to the tattoo shop and then actually consulting with the artist. So that's about it for today's video, guys. What we've discussed here today is whether or not it is okay to bring a pre-made design to a tattoo shop for a consultation, which depends on three factors. Like I said, it's, you know, what your expectations are with that tattoo design that you do bring in, the design itself, and the artist, the specific artist that you're working with, that you're choosing to consult with. So I really hope this video helped you guys out. Hopefully it helps people get better tattoos. Hopefully it helps people have a little bit of a better idea of what's normal in terms of tattoo etiquette before they go in for a consultation. But either way, if you guys like the video, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so, because I'm going to have a lot more informative content coming out for you guys in the future. And yeah, hope you guys have a nice night. We'll see you next time.